played out a 0-0 draw with Southampton. In fact, Southampton had a penalty overturned and a Kyle Walker red card overturned. That was by John Moss. What did you make of that decision, Craig?
I thought it was the right decision, and I could see why it was given in real time, but that's why we have this technology, and so it could have been worse for Manchester City, who I have already dropped points at Tottenham this season. Yes, they've scored some goals in other games, and 6 against Leipzig, but can you keep relying on midfielders and attacking midfielders or wide guys to be doing it for you? And this lack of getting anybody in the striking position in the transfer window is extremely concerning for me if you were a Man City fan. I mean, it really is, and today's performance just was not good enough.
Yeah, there's so much you could say about today's game, starting with Pep Guardiola in midweek talking about the team not having any rest, and I think that plays into the hand of an opponent. If you come into the Etihad and that's what you know their manager is saying, I think that gives you a little bit of a boost. Seeing that, Southampton were very worthy of their point. I'm with Craig. I didn't think it was a penalty. Kyle Walker initially gives the ball away. I think Armstrong's touch is a little heavy and doesn't see Walker coming back across him, who puts his body in between Armstrong and the ball. I understand why the referee pointed to it in real time, but from the time you see the replay, you always felt it was going to be overturned. I thought that also was the right decision. But now here we are talking about a City team who came into the season as favourites with one shot on target at home, as good as Southampton were, and give them their credit, fully deserving of a point. Who thought we'd be talking about Manchester City against anybody in this league at home with one shot on target coming in the 90th minute? And that speaks to why they wanted a striker as much as they did in the summer. And though Pep Guardiola tried to gloss over it and say, well, we're good enough, and in truth they are, there just isn't that, there isn't the wiggle room that they had last season this time around, and that may come back to cost them.
One shot on target, as Shaka said, Don. Do you think they're going to regret not getting a striker this summer?
It's going to be the topic, of every time Man City don't win a game, or if they're shot shy, we're all going to say they need a number 9, and it's rightly so. And Shaka's spot on with the dynamics of a game and what it does to a dressing room. If you're Southampton rocking up at the Etihad and you see Kane or Haaland or Lukaku or Ronaldo, whichever centre forward you want to choose, straight away you're on the back foot. If you're playing against a Raheem Sterling who's a false 9, you might fancy the challenge. If you're playing against a Jesus who might play central, you fancy the challenge. But when you've got a recognised goal scorer, one of the very best, who generate between 25 and 30 a season, it's a different ball game. Now, I know they got by last season, Man City, but I don't think they can do it again. It doesn't feel like the same City to me. It doesn't feel like they've got goals in them. Of course, they can spank anyone because they can hit their groove and they're such a talented side and they've got a great manager. But it's on today's like today where the really best, the cream of number 9s get their goals. It was a little bit like when Ronaldo scored 2 against Newcastle the other week. It's just inevitable. These guys make the difference, and whenever City don't win or if they're shot shy, we're all going to say they need a number 9.
Yeah.
I saw some wide play from them and a couple of times get the ball in the box, but they haven't really got any physical presence. You know what I mean? Mm.
He blamed again, by the way, what Shaka said. He said the European hangover and reiterated.
Well, he's also talked about the supporters that, getting behind the team and filling the stadium more. And there's already some things early on coming out from him. But listen, we talked about Chelsea, I think it was yesterday, and how Lukaku gives them these different options now, that they can still play that possession game if they want, but they've got the ability to put the ball in from wide positions because they have a physical presence. At this moment in time, City don't have that. We know Grealish and Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne and all these players want to play these little 1-2s, but when that's not working, got to get crosses into the box. Good old-fashioned crosses into the box does not go away. It doesn't become old-fashioned, right? It does not. Ask Real Madrid with Benzema. Ask Bayern Munich with Lewandowski. It doesn't get old-fashioned. It's not something from yesteryear. It's part of the game. And unfortunately, at the moment, in some games, when City are unable to break teams down, they haven't really got the ability to throw it in the box because they haven't got the presence in there unless Fernandinho makes a forward run or De Bruyne is on the pitch and he makes a forward run, some of the bigger players. The others are diminutive. And so they don't. I mean, Harry Kane, for example, who they were chasing heavily, is one of the best at that. If it's not working through the middle, sling it in the box, he'll attack it. They don't have that player. I'm with Don. I thought at the start of the season it was going to be more difficult to do it without a striker. Not impossible, but just more difficult to rely on the likes of Gundogan and others repeating the seasons they had last year.
But to the point about the European hangover, and this is for me, I hate to see a club like Manchester City and a manager like Pep Guardiola using European action as your excuse. This is not your first go-round. This is not the first time you're competing on these multiple fronts. This is why you spend the money that you do. And I don't fault you for that, so that you can compete on all these different levels. Who else? How many other teams in the Premier League can bring Foden and De Bruyne off the bench and still offer an excuse about a European hangover? I'm sorry, when we're talking about Manchester City and their spending, that excuse becomes flimsy and, in my opinion, beyond a manager and a club like Guardiola and Manchester City.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.